You know when you connect to a public Wi-Fi network and your computer asks if you trust this network? The correct answer should be absolutely not. Airports, hotels, and coffee shops are convenient places to find Wi-Fi, but they're also the easiest place for your data to get watched, intercepted, or quietly scraped. NordVPN helps fix that by encrypting your internet traffic so what you're doing online isn't just floating around the network. With over 9,000 VPN servers covering more than 188 locations, it's built to stay fast, so you're not stuck choosing between security and a usable connection. Plus, it comes with features that actually matter to your day-to-day life, including threat protection to block malicious sites and trackers, and a built-in kill switch that helps prevent accidental leaks should your VPN connection drop. If you want to stop risking your data on public Wi-Fi, you can save up to 77% on a 2-year subscription, plus score 4 extra months and a free Amazon gift card just by going to nordvpn.com/9to5off and signing up for a 2-year subscription. That's nordvpn.com/9to5off to claim this offer. Welcome to the Sideload, the only podcast where it is both morning and evening, all at the same time. I am your host, Will Sattelberg. This week, I am thrilled to welcome to the show Ryne Hager. Ryne is a former colleague of mine at Android Police, although he has not really blogged on the internet since 2022 when he left to transition into the PR role in the tech landscape. So he's here a little bit to talk about one of the companies he was recently representing at Mobile World Congress, but really, I mean, we just have a greatest hits conversation of all of the stuff that I love to talk about these days, dedicated devices and AI and smartphones and minimalism. There's so much that we tackle. I wasn't joking in the intro. Ryne is currently in China, so this interview was conducted at 7 a.m. This morning as I'm releasing this, and that was 7 p.m. for Ryne. So if I'm a little loopy or a little repetitive, a little tangenty in this episode, it was because the coffee had not kicked in yet. Regardless, I think it's a really good conversation and one we probably could have kept having for another 90 minutes if it hadn't been getting so late Ryne's time. So here is my conversation with Ryne Hager. I am thrilled to welcome to the show my former colleague at Android Police and VP of US Operations / Vibes. I'm just going to keep that as the full title at Muse Per Se. A grand return to the internet, in my opinion, Ryne Hager. Ryne, how are you?
It's good. It's been a while since I've been on a podcast, I will say. Not since Awesome, when we were in our short and ill-fated privacy podcast. Yeah, you have been through
a collection of gigs and jobs and I don't know, like things since the last time we worked together. God, 3.5 years ago. Wow, it's been a long time. But you've always been one of my favorite people on the internet to talk to about the industry and about technology and about, I mean, even going back to when you were first hired at Android Police, you were always, just as a reader of the site, one of my favorite writers. And so I'm super excited to pick your brain a little bit about technology, the current state, because like you don't blog anymore, and I know. Once a blogger, always a blogger. I know it's in your brain. I know it's those you wake up and your fingers are just doing this because they want to type. So I'm gonna pick your brain for that. But first, I want to talk about the phone that you had at Mobile World Congress, that you were representing at Mobile World Congress, which is the Alcatel WP63. It's well, you know what? You tell me about the gimmick of this, because I feel like people are like wait, what is this? I haven't heard of this. And then you're going to say what it does, and people are going to be like, I don't know if they're going to be like, oh, I definitely need to run out and buy that right now. But they are going to be like, this is more enticing than I thought. So
three people are going to be like, oh, I need this right away. Yeah,
and exactly. I'm one of them. What? Tell me about the WP63.
Well, first of all, it's not a gimmick. In business terms, we call it a key selling point, or KSP.
Of course.
So
the PR expert right here, folks. This is if you want a master class in public relations.
The defining feature of it is, it's one of those big durable phones. So it's got a big beefy build quality. It's got like a 20,000 milliamp hour battery, rubber and plastic, IP rated design that you can just about drop off the edge of a cliff and it probably live. But the cool thing about it is it does reverse charging. It's got camping light and a camping siren built into the back, and drum roll please, an igniter, a lighter. It can set things on fire, which is, of course, the number one feature you want in a phone ever since the Galaxy Note 7. This is not quite like that. This isn't, it's not, it's fully in your control. It's not a spontaneous process.
This is probably an awful first question to ask about this phone to someone that is like actually representing it as like I don't want to say marketing person, but you know what I mean. Did the Galaxy Note 7, did you bring up the Galaxy Note 7 in meetings about this phone? Actually, I do want to know.
Absolutely not. And it was probably a mistake to bring it up in this podcast, but it's 7:00. It's very late here in China.
Yeah, I should say, well, and we'll get into this, but Ryne is in China. So it is 7:23 here AM for me. It is I'm watching the sunrise behind the curtain that my desk is facing, and you are ready for bed, I guess. I'm looking out the window at like shipping containers and the docks, and all of the things you listeners are buying this minute are sitting right there ready to be shipped out. They're going to be shipped out, and then you're going to put a sleeping cap and a sleeping gown on and and use the lighter as your candle to walk to bed on the Alcatel WP63. I brought it back because that's professionalism.
One of us is.
Yeah, it's me. The energy, I just want to tell people the time context because I feel like the energy on this one is going to be a little different than usual.
Asymmetrical.
Yeah, it's a little completely like the most opposite times of day you could have. Okay, so Alcatel is one of these brands that makes like these big beef, like not all of them, but like they have these rugged phones with massive batteries and they've done like projectors. And as you say, this is like a camping phone is how I see it, right? Because it's got this camping light on it. It's got, I didn't know about the siren, but it's got a siren. And then it's got a way to start fires, which is like, if you're going on the television show Survivor, this is the phone for you, basically, is what I'm seeing here. Who is the main, like, is it for campers? Like, is that like the main target audience this is being like pushed towards?
I would say it's for campers. It's for outdoors people. Although I will say, if you're on a desert island and you need a phone, Alcatel happens to make another phone with satellite connectivity. But ignoring that, it's my job to shill. I think that the primary audience here is people who are camping, outdoorsmen. If you smoke a lot and you don't want to carry a lighter, I guess. But I would say the primary use case is definitely outdoorsmen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's like I watched the video demo of it because it was not at Mobile World Congress this year, and it reminded me so much of like, and they're all gone now, but like cigarette lighters and cars.
The lighters in cars when we were kids that we all burned our fingers on.
Yeah. I mean, for me, that was mostly just like, because like neither of my parents smoked. So for me, that I was just like, yeah, great. That's another place for me to plug in my Game Boy car charger. But for other people, it was like, I'm just going to take this out. For you, Ryne, it was, I'm just going to keep putting my finger in here and burning it until they stop putting them in cars.
Some of us are naturally curious.
Yeah. But like, it's, I don't know. It's an interesting feature to build. Like it makes sense from a camper's perspective that like, there is an argument to be made that like, and I've been making it on this show and other podcasts that technology should be, we lost a little something by not making purpose-built technology anymore, like by consolidating everything into a single device. I'll hand the floor over to you, Ryne, because that's why I wanted you to, people have heard me talk about this. I'm just going to let you rip. You go for it.
Oh my God. Yeah, so I couldn't agree with you more. I think that our devices have just become way too, the term our old chief design officer used to use was sticky. They've become an integral part of just about every interaction we have to do. Social media has become a necessity. You can't, like for instance, I'm here in Shenzhen, and here every single business has an app. through WeChat or whatever. There are these platforms, and that's how you buy things. That's how you pay for things. There are whole businesses here that you cannot use without a phone. You walk in the door and it's like, if you don't have a phone, you are not their customer today. So I'm so upset that this has become a necessity in our lives, because back home, I turn my phone off on the weekends and I switch to a light phone. Like, you can't reach me. If you want to, you have to text me or you have to call me like it's 1995. Yeah.
I mean, that's... I don't want to say the dream, because that's such a pessimistic way of viewing technology, but there is something I've talked a little bit about this on previous episodes, but I've been making, or trying to make, a much more, much larger effort to at night, like, unplug from the internet or to, it's funny. This is like the last like 5 episodes kind of just colliding into one topic. Trying to like disconnect a little bit more at night and be more purposeful when I'm using technology, and not just... And like last night, as we're recording this, the day is going to come out. So like last night, for me, last night was the Oscars, which is a thing that I watch every year. And like, so that's maybe a little bit different. But otherwise, I very much try to like either focus on, if Maddie and I are like watching something at night or playing something, right? Like I have my AY and Thor that I'm like obsessed with. It is much more, it's a much better use of my time and my brain power to like focus on something that is not yelling at me or trying to make me mad all the time, which is what a little bit technology feels like, that they just want me to have emotions all the time. And I'm so Ryan, I'm so tired of having emotions.
Our attention is being just continuously capitalized upon. We can't enjoy the time. Like, we bust our ass to make all this money, and we end up spending our time just sitting and mindlessly scrolling and being outraged. And that is recreation in 2026, right? Yeah. Like, how depressing.
Yeah, I just, well, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so I have a phone, right? Like and obviously I have lots of phones. It comes with the territory of this job. Not as many as I used to, but still lots of phones. And what am I doing at night to like, what am I doing with this when I'm not working to like relax? Like, what is on this phone that, it's like, it's not really games, because like any mobile game I'm going to download is going to be filled with like ads or microtransactions. Like, maybe you can buy a handful of titles, but largely speaking, if you're just browsing through the Play Store to look for something to play, it's going to be an annoying experience. You can scroll through social media, but as we just said, that is like looking to capitalize on either outrage or frustration or whatever, negative emotions to keep you plugged in. You could browse the web, but that's not a thing anymore. You can't like,
it's not stumble upon there anymore. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, like, I used to, like, I've said this, but like, I used to have like 20, 25 like bookmarked sites that I would visit like daily or near daily, certainly like weekly, and like go to their homepages. And like, that's just not a thing you do anymore. I mean, there are homepages, but like, nobody goes to them, and my list is down to like 4 sites. You know what I mean?
Well, I do still do that. And I've been doing that more because I don't have feeds. I've done everything I can to eliminate feeds from my life, because I think algorithmic recommendations are just terrible for you.
Yes.
So I try not to use social media. I only use YouTube on my TV. And when I want the news, I go to, the Associated Press, I go to Reuters, I go to NPR, and I go to The Verge, I go to Wired. So like I intentionally navigate 2 sites, subscribe and pay for their services, and read the ones that I think do good quality reporting. And like, that is now my view of the internet. I don't know if that makes me a boomer. I don't know if that makes me an anachronism, but it is much more enjoyable experience, I will say.
Yeah, it's you're a couple years older than me, but I just turned 30 last year, and I have had this thing of like, is this just me getting older? And this is the thing of that everybody fights against, of like, I'm not going to be the kids are wrong person. And then you inevitably become the kids are wrong person. Or am I the Skinner meme? And I'm like, no, it is the kids who are wrong. Like, and not so much the kids. Like, I don't blame them for like flocking.
It's not their fault. It's our fault.
It's not.
We're the ones who did this.
I genuinely kind of think it's like, no. Like, I don't hold like the obsession of like TikTok or like, algorithmic slop, like, is what I would call it. Right. I don't hold anybody responsible for that, except for like, I don't even really hold like creators responsible for that, because they're just playing the game. we all got to get paid. Like, I fully understand playing the game. I blame the people who are behind this, who pushed this technology for 15 years, the Mark Zuckerbergs of this world that just like did and do not give a shit about the repercussions. I mean, we just saw this with Zuckerberg having to go to court, not to be all over the place with this podcast, but that's what you get when I wake up at 7:30. Well, 6:30 in the morning. It is 7:30 now to record a podcast. And I have off 2 cups of coffee. We just had Mark Zuckerberg in court, like about the facing the repercussions of the fact that like teenagers are having suicidal thoughts. And Instagram came to popularity when I was in high school. So like I experienced how this was firsthand in the earliest like pre-meta days of Instagram. Like I think that sale happens as like I'm a senior in high school. And it was like a completely different platform. Like I was not like a huge Instagram person in high school because like I went to a very rural high school. Like what was I posting? What did I have to post on Instagram? Like I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't doing anything really. But like lots of my friends at the time were on Instagram, and like it was mostly just like a way to share like generic photos of your life. And I've complained about this, but it's like I don't really open Instagram. I'll do it like once or twice a week, or once or twice a month, excuse me. Because when I open it, I don't see posts from my friends anymore anyway. It's not social media. So it's like I just don't know what to get out of it. And so you look at like Mark Zuckerberg facing this in court and not seeming to care about it, because as long as people are just coming back to the site, they're making ad money, and so it doesn't matter. But
everything about it, the entire interface has been designed to keep people there, to keep you there longer, to make it easier to use in a way that just keeps you continuously engaged. They've intentionally designed this to try to keep you on it as long as possible.
And when you realize that, and like, I do think a lot of like Gen Z has realized this. And I think that's why you see an obsession with technology they didn't have, right? Like you see younger people be like, I want to move back to like a dumb phone, or I want to, you mentioned the light phone. I'm interested in the light phone. I've had friends of mine who are either my age or a little bit younger, because I'm right on that millennial Gen Z time, like cusp, right? Like I've had people be like very interested in these devices that are sort of meant to like unplug them from an internet in a world that like feels a little too much at times. And at the same time, it's not nearly as much as in China, but we are, even in the US, a world that is like very difficult to navigate without a smartphone. And it's really going to depend on where you live. I think the more metropolitan of an area you live in, the less you can do that, right? Like if you live in a more rural, like where I grew up, it doesn't really matter if a place, you're probably not using public transit. Everywhere you go probably takes cash. You wouldn't need to use like mobile payments. And if they don't, you can just carry a wallet and a credit card with you or whatever, right? Like you can do all that stuff, but if you go to New York, it's like, oh, actually our menus are only on QR codes, or you have to pay for the subway with mobile transactions or whatever, right? Like it starts to build up in terms of needing this phone, Uber, right? All this stuff.
So I don't know if I've told you about this. This is going to sound a little bit like a 90-degree angle here, but I a couple years ago, I bought an 87 Vanagon Westphalia, and I've been sort of working on it and restoring it over the last couple of years. But this is the summer I finally pile into it, turn my phone off, and drive all the way to California with nothing but physical maps and a dumb phone. Because I've gotten so used to turning my phone off on the weekends and like getting around and finding my direction and entertaining myself without a phone in circumstances that used to give me anxiety as a result of my dependence on it. And now I'm like, all right, I want to do this big epic like low tech trip.
Yeah, I mean it's
going to be so great.
There's something so refreshing about that. I talk to friends of mine who are like, I don't even know what I would do. And I'm sort of in this boat. Like, I don't know what I would do without Google Maps. I've certainly used a physical map before. And I was the person who would navigate for my parents when I was younger.
It comes right back.
I'm sure 100%, but it's like, it is that is like the most convenient thing about phones. But so as we were, 1,000 topics ago saying, like, we've compiled everything into one device, but left off so many of these other, even, I don't want to say, a fire starter is niche. Like a niche is niche. I'm not so much talking about that. I don't expect Samsung to add a fire starter to the Galaxy.
But they already did
S27.
that. We've already covered that.
True. But like, you know, things like IR blasters or things like SD card slots or like these little things that some people really liked. I mean, you can kind of see it with the S Pen that like, I feel like any day now the S Pen is going to die. I know Samsung keeps saying they're committed to it, but they keep taking things away from it. And I'm just like, you guys are going to want to give that capacity to something else at some point, that space inside the phone. I can just feel it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, I do think we lose something by making everybody have the exact same device. And the only thing that is different is like generic software experiences. Like, and that's it. Like,
which are all slowly converging as well. How close is the Pixel experience now to the iPhone?
I was gonna say
Google makes is to bring it closer to parity.
Well, in the Pixel especially, I just wrote this piece about the new AI icon support that Google rolled out with the March Pixel update, which is a thing you would have covered 4 years ago, Ryne. But now I'm not even 100% convinced you know what I'm talking about. So the Pixel has these like, it finally has like support for custom icons, but you have to use Google's like AI generator to make these like from 5 different themes, right? And it will do your home screen. But it's like a really tedious process to like lock in everything, and not every app seems to respond well to it. And at the same time, it's one of those things where you don't get the. I mean, to a certain extent, like the iPhone has more customization for its icons than Pixel at this point, even with these AI features. And so I wrote this piece about like, it's great to see Google finally seeing that like they have locked their version of Android down beyond like the iPhone's level of customization. But this is not a replacement for like just having the ability to download an icon pack and like change out the icons like manually. And I would like to see that like at this point, and I love Android as a platform, but it's like, there is so little difference between these two phones that like when I see traditional fanboys, and I don't even mean that as a I'm not trying to be mean to anybody, but when I see like old school Android fans on the internet still arguing about like Apple and iOS, it's like, do you even know how similar these platforms are? I mean, it's McDonald's versus Burger King at this point. You are getting essentially the same fast food burger. Are you choosing that much of a difference between the two? Like, not really. Like, you're getting like a kind of sloppy fast food burger, and maybe that's mean to Android and iOS, but that's sort of the experience at this point.
It's the mass market experience, right? I've been frustrated for years, this sort of convergence that Google's had and its obsession with the iPhone. Every time they're like, oh, you know, the double click power button, now that's a shortcut for the wallet if you want it as well. All of the locking down the experiences, we're going to make it harder, or block side loading entirely. Google's doing more to market the Apple experience than Apple is sometimes, it feels like. And so like, if you want the Pixel experience, you might as well just get an iPhone. And that's frustrating as hell.
It's tricky because you can see the argument that Google is probably having internally of like, well, if we make the experience like an iPhone, but more, right? Like with the assistance of Google or with the assistance of Gemini, like we can market this device as a like, oh, it's sort of like the experience you already know on the iPhone, but it's so much better. You won't believe it. Come on over, guys. And at least market share wise, I don't know about from iOS, but like Google has, you know, the Pixel 9 and Pixel 10 have been relative hits based on their previous experience. So something is working there.
You can do double-digit year-over-year growth when you're looking at one small number to another small number. That's the sort of thing. It's bigger than it.
Wait, look, listen. They are out. They are seemingly out of the other group when listing market share, and now are into like low percentages. But that is better than they were. So
in the U.S. market, they hit low single digits. Great, that's a success, I guess.
But
I'm not trying to be too critical.
Oh, no.
Because Pixels were my favorite, but I don't understand the strategy. Google's like from top to bottom, the way they've approached things, the smart home ecosystem that's just been abandoned for the last 5 years to sit and rot while Apple's, you know, getting ready to catch up. I don't understand what they're doing.
Well, and this is a topic that I'm gonna have with or a conversation I'm gonna have with next week's guest. But like that's how I feel about how slow they have been to get whatever they have planned with Android on desktop out. Where I'm like, people are so mad at Microsoft right now, like beyond angry at Microsoft for a billion reasons. I mean, like genuinely, like 5 major reasons that are completely different, ranging from like
AI
the state of Windows 11 to AI to their relationship in the Israel-Palestinian war. Like there are lots of reasons people are mad at Microsoft right now, and you might not even align on all of them, but you align on some of them or whatever. Like I think you can see people being like, the Linux is in the air, right? Like people are just installing Linux now in a way they haven't in forever.
And it's an opportunity, and Google's like, well, we can wait.
Well, and it's like there is this massive opening of people being like, I'm frustrated with Windows. I don't want to do this anymore. Like where am I turning? And I'm like, okay, Google, like do it now. Go at I/O 2026, announce that you are ready to launch the Android desktop experience, and it's replacing Chrome OS or whatever. And you have all of these industry partners. I hate Adobe, but you need Adobe. You have to have all these people on board, and then you just hit it, and you have some good hardware, and you hope for the best. And it's like they're talking about like next year. And it's probably going to be in like beta, and they're not going to, I can feel they're not going to have these industry partners. It's just going to be like a mild evolution of Chrome OS is what this ends up being, because that's when Google announces a transition, that's what it inevitably turns into. Like even like, God, I remember being so excited when they were like, we're ditching Google Play Music. We're doing YouTube Music. Like it's going to be this entire new modern experience. YouTube Music just ended up being like worse Google Play Music. It was like
for years,
like
until it reached feature parity. Yeah.
Well, it took years to reach parity, and then it was just like at the end of the day, they spent like 4 years just like to get back to where Google Play Music was, but with a worse user experience. Like
that's the Google UI. Way, right? Like.
Right. And so when I see like I have a hard time getting excited about the Android desktop experience because one, I think the arrival, again, I'm going to talk about this next week. So maybe, but the arrival of the MacBook Neo, I think like is fully like you are now late. That is I will not go too deep into my thoughts on it, but that is like a industry shaping launch in my opinion.
It's huge. And this is the person who should have understood this most of all is Dieter at Google, formerly of The Verge, because his whole shtick for years was the power and play of the ecosystem. That's what really matters is the integration and how you compute up and down from computing to mobile to everything else. If you have a single ecosystem that binds you, that locks you, that determines how you use a computer, right? And that determines how you do everything, mobile, desktop. And so Apple is now, they're at every level. They're going to capture the last little bit of market that they didn't have. The people who are on the fence, they're like, well, I would, but it's so expensive. These Macs are so expensive. You can get a cheap iPhone now, and you can get a cheap Mac, and you can be a part of that ecosystem early on. Once you switch, people don't switch back. A handful do, but they offer a really good experience. And so Google's been lacking this sort of vertical ecosystem for a long time. They half-heartedly tried with Chromebooks.
They're so bad at big screens. They're awful at big screens. I mean, the second you take like, I think they have a good handle on like I like modern Pixels. I do. I have my problems with them, but like largely speaking, I think they're reliable smartphones, and sometimes that is all I want. They're good. They're good at what they do. I think they've got. It took them a few generations, but I think they've got smartwatches down. I think the Pixel Watch 3 and 4 were good. I have no complaints about either of those watches. It's the Pixel tablet is like the most frustrating product launch I've like probably ever seen, because there was so much of the only things wrong with it were like the execution. The idea was so good, and you saw, like I wrote about how they could fix it, and then they just didn't do it. They were just like, never mind.
They didn't care. It's the worst device in my house. I've been slowly stripping out every piece of Google Assistant integrated smart home hardware I have, because I'm getting ready to just switch everything over to Apple. I'm done. Google is the issues that I've been experiencing the last couple of years have convinced me to just call it a day. But I still have to keep using that tablet because it's the best device I have for the apps that I use right now in the kitchen. But oh my God, with the dock, it's incredible that they shipped it in the state that it was in, and that they never made it appreciably better. It's such a joke.
The biggest red, I remember getting hands on with it at I/O 2023, and like when I found out that the speaker didn't have a built-in like it didn't have like a cast receiver, you could only cast to the tablet when it was docked, and like I was like, this, like, I don't understand how you messed that up. I 3 years on, I'm still just like befuddled that they launched it without anybody internally going, this needs to just be a speaker when the tablet is not docked to it. Like that was not the only issue, but it would have helped a lot if you could argue that, like, and you're basically getting a free speaker when you buy this tablet.
Yeah, but it was that seems to be part of the problem, is that for whatever reason, it's these someone in marketing is like, oh, we have a gap in our product lineup, we need to make it, and so they make it. They do the Google approach. The engineers are great. They make it. They figured out how to work it, but they don't integrate it into the total ecosystem. Yeah, and it's like they never use their own products until they're launched, and they're like, oh, this didn't actually work with this, or as part of the integration between this and that, or this functionality is broken. Nobody actually seems to use their full product stack. And I know when you go to the Google campus, because I've been a couple times, most of the people there are using iPhones. So it's true. Google doesn't use its own products. Most of the people at Google don't use their own products.
It's frustrating. And so, okay, so you have just like the Pixel tablet, and then Chromebooks are just like their own mess. And you have these, you don't have the big screen experience, in my opinion. I don't think Chromebooks are like a particularly viable platform in 2026. Like I think Google, you can feel that Google doesn't care about them, right? You can feel Google does not care about this as a platform, that they are working on something else that is just somehow not ready, despite the fact that, like, I imagine it's going to be very similar in practice to Chrome OS. I just, like, I don't know how you miss this moment of, like, people have been, it's been over a year of people being mad at Microsoft. This is not like a thing that popped up yesterday. And
Google's got a skill of turning evangelists into haters, and I'm one of them. Like,
well, so let's talk about this, since you just brought it up, because I did not know this. So I mean, if there's no other indictment on the state of smartphones being the illusion of choice, the smartphone platform is being the illusion of choice, it is that you are ready to move to iPhone. So like tell me how you get there, I guess.
For me, it was by accident. I was while things were winding down at Awesome, which was an Android phone company.
Yes,
I must stress and say, because I used our products there, and while I was there, I also extensively researched other Android devices. I was still deeply into the Android ecosystem, but as you know, as most people know, the only good laptops are and have been Macs. So I was forced to use a Mac together with Android. So from the get-go, it's like, all right, I'm using two different ecosystems. After towards the tail end of things at Awesome, I was like, I've got this iPhone I bought for research that I used just for a little while. Let me give it a month. And that was all it took. It was once I was on it for a month, I was like, oh, like, it drives me nuts. There are a bunch of things I don't like about it. Like, I can't install my own apps. The interface is puerile and childish. This new glass is an accessibility nightmare. Even me, who has reasonably good vision, like, there's so many times I can't tell what's on the screen or read what's going on. Frustrates the hell out of me. Nonetheless, as a total holistic experience, comparing ecosystem to ecosystem, it's just better. It's consistent. It saves me time in so many countless little ways. The frustrations that I used to have are gone, and the new ones are tolerable. I can deal with it, with the exception of notification management. Holy shit! Oh my god! Like, oh,
dude, it's the notifications. It's one of those things that, like, I actually find it difficult to explain to, like, people who've only ever used iPhones why the notifications are so bad, because it's difficult to be like it's just like a thing you sort of have to experience when you go to Android, and you're like, oh, it's like a
2-decade difference.
It's weirdly, it's like a subtle difference in a way. Like, I know that sounds stupid because you and I both know that, like, the notification management on iOS is so much worse, and yet on its face you look at them and you're like, I don't get it. They're both just lists of notifications. Like, what would the on your lock screen? What would the problem be?
Yeah, like you said, so many little things. Like, anything on Android, you can. Like we were talking about before, everything wants your attention, right? In 2026, whether it's a notification or a feed, they're all trying to make sure that they're in front of your eyes all the time. On Android, if there's something you don't want to see, you long press it. You're like, this notification, I hate you. And then you never see that notification ever again. One long tap, one short tap, it's gone. permanently. Whereas on iOS, you get to explore Apple's ridiculously awkward monolithic settings menu for the next 5 minutes, trying to figure out which arcane is it in here or is it in the app? Where do I find the single toggle that lets me affect it? It's so ridiculous.
The biggest like cardinal sin of iOS as a platform, the thing that like pisses me off the most when I'm on an iPhone is the settings menu. Like the idea that they built this platform on no. Your app settings are actually just in the phone settings menu is like such a broken
but
concept.
Not always. But not always.
But also not always. Lots of the settings are in the apps now. And then but some of the settings are in the the settings menu, and it's up to you to find which one you're looking for, and good luck. And sometimes it's in a secret third spot that we're not going to tell you about. But
there was a piece I wrote in 2020 about the iPad. I told everybody at AP, I was like, don't buy yourself an Android tablet on lockdown, just buy an iPad. And Gruber picked up the piece and wrote about it. Gruber wrote about my piece. And I was like, oh, this is a first. Apple show. Yeah. Gruber is analyzing my piece. And he said the thing he was most interested in was my criticisms of iOS. And one of the ones I listed was the settings menu. And he said something about like not understanding or actually preferring it that way. And I was like, like, that was one of the times I realized, all right, I can't take you seriously anymore. I used to think you were a relatively intelligent dude, but like, are you not joking when you say that you like the settings menu the way it is? Because that's unbelievable.
I would love to get John Gruber on this show, because I think I love reading his stuff. Like he is one of the homepages I still go to just because I'm like, you are authentically you. And like, there 100%. Are many times I disagree with his takes, but I'm like, you are at least out there like being relatively consistent in your takes. And I did really appreciate that he, for whatever you want to say about John,
of Apple.
and they apparently, but like he saved it for a good time to be critical, in my opinion. And it clearly hit with Apple. Like they clearly were upset by it. It sucks a little bit that but like, even his piece about it was like, I was actually wrong to not have raised an eyebrow at the AI stuff 2 years ago more than I did. And I appreciate it. But like, you know, it's one of those things where like, and maybe this is like sort of why I'm frustrated with software as an experience, but like every single update I get for an app or a piece of software, like I can feel it making things worse. I'm starting to feel where I'm like, whatever you just launched was vibe coded. Like I can tell, because it's like half functioning, or it breaks this other thing.
There's this depressing aspect that I think about like relatively frequently now, because I'm on the other side now. I'm on PR. Like your readers should listen to everything I say with at least a little bit of suspicion. But that
was true. That was true when you were writing at AP too. So it's
that's true. But when you and I got started with this job, when we were journalists, tech journalists, or bloggers, or whatever the hell you want to call it, we got into it because tech was fucking rad. It was cool. It was exciting. It was the future. It was doing interesting, good, novel, new things. Now it's like every new development is some way to make our lives worse, or to take jobs away from people, or like it's just, it sucks. Technology sucks.
Yeah. It is a thing that I find difficult to be excited about these days, because I feel I can't help but look at every launch and be like, okay, I'm the product of this launch. So what are you trying to monetize me for this time? Like it's the only way to think about it now, where I'm like, I can feel that my wallet is going to get dinged from whatever you're talking about. I mean, like, dude, like
your bank account is tingling.
I'm 2 months away from like a massive like Adobe price hike, because I was grandfathered into something, but they raised prices because they built all these cool AI tools into their software. And I'm like, you guys have like decade-old bugs that I know have been around for a decade, because I've been using these apps for over a decade now, and they're still there, and I've been paying a monthly subscription this entire decade for these apps. Can you please stop launching awful AI tools and making it so that Acrobat, an app I use once a year to sign a document, is auto launching my PDFs? That is like every company now. Every application I use has like one. Dude, I paid for like an ad-free subscription to like the Weather Channel app, and for 2 months it would log me out every day. like 2 months after I bought it. And I emailed their support and they were like, we're not seeing that on our end. But 2 months later it was fixed. So clearly they eventually found it. Whatever. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I highly recommend you because I did make the trip. Although I used different services, I was a Lightroom addict. I finally switched over to Photometer a couple years ago, and it's been so much better. There was a steep learning curve, but I've been trying to do that consistently, weaning myself off of subscription services, going for one-time fees. I've stopped buying. I don't have a Prime subscription. I actually don't buy anything off of Amazon anymore.
That's the right move. Yeah. It's Adobe is difficult for me because there are alternatives, but there are two things. It's one, I use a lot of Adobe apps. It's not like, I feel like a lot of people are like fully in Premiere and After Effects or fully in Photoshop and Lightroom. And I am in like Photoshop, Lightroom, Premiere, Audition, and then like every now and then After Effects. And that it's like tricky to replace all of that.
It's like we said, it's the ecosystem play. Yeah, there's no other ecosystem.
Exactly.
You'd be replacing them with individual products.
So, and what I'll say is like, that's not a huge deal because the history of Adobe is that all of those applications were just acquired by Adobe anyway. Adobe has never built anything themselves. They just buy things. The entire history of Adobe is just buying applications, which is why when you use Adobe apps and you're like, why do Premiere and Audition do things completely different? Like do this exact feature completely differently or this exact tool completely differently? It's because they have different origins. They're from completely different companies and Adobe has never made the effort to unify them. Which is when you use a lot of apps like this, frustrating from a keyboard shortcut perspective, but I digress. It's not even so I wouldn't even care so much about like, oh, I have to buy from 3 or 4 different companies instead of just one now. It's that would be annoying, but it would be fine. It's more of a, when I share projects with people that I'm working on, I know that they have these Adobe tools in a way that like I can't guarantee that they have whatever like audio editor I replace Audition with. Do you know what I mean? Like it makes it difficult to collaborate with people, which is the entire thing. Adobe, like that's how Adobe is making billions of dollars. Is they know they have this industry lock-in that like, I'm not going to be able to guarantee that somebody has like, you know, like Final Cut or DaVinci Resolve, right? Installed on their computer or want to use it or want to switch to it. But like Premiere is the video app and has been since, you know, I was in college. I just like, it becomes tricky to like try to cut that subscription out. But like, what am I hate the subscription, you know? Yeah.
Well, I hope you find a solution because the more we depend on these, the worse it's going to get. They're going to keep adding features we don't like. They're going to stop fixing the things that we need to be fixed, and it's going to cost more. I
mean, God, this is like week 3 of me being pessimistic on this podcast. And I feel so awful about that because people accuse me of being pessimistic, and this
is
the
doesn't 9 to 5 Google suicide watch.
Well, I don't know. I'm not, for me, it's just like, there are still tech products to be excited about. They're just always going to come from like smaller niche brands that you have to go out of your way to find. And to that point, Ryan, I can fully understand why, with you nodding along in agreement to that, you would be like, and that's why I'm just going to go over to Apple, because if I don't like my Android phone as it is, and I can have a stronger ecosystem with my MacBook, why wouldn't I do that? If I don't like either platform, why don't I just go for the ecosystem that I think is stronger?
Exactly. It's not like I like either. It's just I'm choosing the one that is objectively better. I'm sorry. Like I would prefer to keep supporting an Android-based ecosystem, but nobody's really doing it the way I would want it to be done.
What would you want to be done? I guess. What would bring you back? So if you're getting ready to leave a whatever Google ecosystem you have built, what would you want to see Google or other Android companies build?
I want to see Google bring Nest in, like with the same team as Pixel. I think it's ridiculous that they're off in La La Land, maintaining trash for the last 4 years. Seriously, everything.
Oh my God! You want to talk about now. You want to talk about missed opportunities, like on the desktop side? Your main competitor in Ring has had like the worst 2 months a company could have from a public relations perspective. Why are you not out there being like, we've beefed up our privacy it like switched to Nest. Like, I don't get it.
People have been talking about Apple's play for the smart home for the last like 4 or 5 years in the beta. Yes. We know this, like they've known it was coming. So like, why hasn't Google done something with Nest to make it worth something? Yeah. Like with the changes that we've seen in terms of the on-device learning that they could do with the newer modern chipsets, with Gemini integrated into the smart home products. Like the Gemini experience right now is trash. I had to disable it because it was so buggy. Like it didn't work with half of the things that I tried to do. A bunch of old commands that I had relied upon and used stopped working entirely when I switched. So I was just too frustrated to go on. But I don't understand the strategy. They need to have a full ecosystem approach, like I had hoped would happen when Dieter came in. They need to be doing a bigger priority when it comes to this computing push, and they got to stop trying to chase Apple, because if all they're going to be doing is implementing the same features as Apple in the same way as Apple, they might as well just be marketing for Apple and telling their customers to buy Apple products. They should be forging their own path.
It's so interesting. You bring up like the Apple play. I find it so fascinating that like we talked about the Pixel, you know, the iPhone inspiration or influence on Pixel, but that's nothing compared to like, we're just fully back to like Samsung is just going to copy what Apple does, right? Like the 2010s have never, there was this period in the late 2010s where like Samsung had kind of left that behind and were sort of doing their own thing. And that all kind of culminated in the first Galaxy Fold. Like I would say that was like where that was peak. Samsung is just trying. They have left their you know, the days of TouchWiz looking like on the Galaxy S2 looking exactly like the iPhone are gone. The lawsuit is over, and then the 2020s, like they're just like, actually we're just going to go back to just kind of looking at what, like, so they did titanium, we're doing titanium. They did. Yeah, I can't believe we didn't get an orange Galaxy S26 this year, to be honest with you. Like I was shocked that was not the exclusive color.
Oh, they'll do it next year. They'll do it next
year. They'll be a year late. But the Galaxy, I mean, the Galaxy Watch, right? Like took the Galaxy Watch Ultra took inspiration from Apple. You know, the S25 Edge, great job on that one, guys. Like that one bombed immediately. You know, suddenly Apple's going to do a foldable, and it's going to have like a wide aspect ratio, and so is Samsung's, right? Like we are in this boat where they are just back to like looking at Apple's homework.
Yeah. If Apple were to leak that they were doing a smart belt buckle, Samsung would announce it first. Yeah.
Well, it's not 2012 though. Like I think Apple is a completely different company than they were 15 years ago, and I think they do have, like, again, I'm like so excited to talk a little bit more about the MacBook Neo next week on next week's episode, but I think that's like one of the most important tech launches I've seen probably this decade. But largely speaking, like Apple does not have the same like focus on a vision, no pun intended, that they had 10, 15 years ago. And so to copy Apple, you're doing this like copy of a facade or like copy of a like I just like, you guys, you shouldn't take inspiration from this brand, because they seem to be as lost as all of you are on what to do next to revolutionize the market, right? Like everybody
has
commoditized.
There's nothing to revolutionize. Yeah.
No, I mean, everybody, especially Apple, wants to have this like we found the next iPhone moment, and you can feel it. You felt it with wearables. You could feel it.
Was once in a generation. It's not going to happen again. I mean, everybody thought VR and AR were going to be the next big thing, and I know
they still do. I mean, I'm still. Yeah. I'm a glasses skeptic. I've been on the record as a glasses skeptic. I just cannot see them catching on. Certainly not in the way a smartphone does, and you can already see public pushback online over smart glasses. I mean, people are already, and it's not helping that like some of the worst people on the internet have bought meta glasses, the Ray-Bans, and are using them for like nefarious purposes. It's like the worst thing you could have if you care about this product lineup.
It's the same issue as before, though. Well, everyone wants to do it because it's an opportunity to build an ecosystem, right? If you're the first or the best and you do it right, that is a platform upon which.
But what is doing it right?
No, like, that's the thing. There's the killer app.
What's the vision here again? But like I just like exactly. It's just, what if the screen was in front of your eyes instead of in your hand? And it's like the answer is like, I guess the screen would be in front of my eyes instead of in my hand, and I'd probably be more annoyed when navigating through the screen than I am when it's in my hand. Like that's where we're at. It's like, well, you can use voice commands. It's like, I hate using voice commands. I don't want to use voice. It's my biggest problem with the AI push is that I'm like, I don't want to talk to Gemini. I know you can type to Gemini, and anytime I use Gemini, I am typing to Gemini, but I kind of hate doing that too. I don't see the vision here. That's not to say that like we won't someday see something that revolutionizes the world in the same way the smartphone does, because it would be stupid to think that, because we had the internet before and the telephone, and so you can go through every technological revolution. I am sure something will come along. I don't think you can force it. Like, I think it will happen when it happens, and to have all these companies trying to be like, the next vision is glasses, the next vision is X, like. Not the app. I was X as in fill in the blank.
But it's just been one of those after another. Yeah. For a little while it was Web3 and crypto. For a little while it was AR, VR. Now it's smart glasses. Like, it's never going to be any of these things. Yeah.
Exactly.
The experience isn't sticky enough.
It's really damning. The most damning thing I can say about AI is that the biggest AI boosters at this point are talking about it the way people talked about the metaverse and Web3 and crypto. That is the NFTs. That is the meanest thing.
Our entire economy is dependent upon it, so that's a little more concerning.
And it's not to say that like these that LLMs do not have. I think inherently an LLM has more value than an NFT. Like I do think that you can get more done with it, the large language model.
100%. Yeah.
The issue is to what degree? Is it right? And like, I think that's where maybe like I disagree with perhaps the trend, the drive of this industry, but that's where we're at. And it becomes like a very difficult thing to be excited about, especially when every new feature on a smartphone is like basically focused on AI at this point. And I've kind of even Google, who I think have done it the best, I'm still kind of like, but outside of the review period, I stopped using all of these tools anyway. I didn't open Pixel screenshots after I reviewed the Pixel 9 Pro Fold because it felt superfluous. It felt like it wasn't doing anything for me that like uploading a screenshot to Google Photos wasn't doing. So
I my big confession here, and I don't know if my clients will like it that I say this, and I don't know if my coworkers will like it when I say this, but I basically refuse to use AI unless I absolutely have to in a given context, because I like writing and I write well, and I can tell the difference between AI writing and my writing, because my writing is good and AI writing is shit, and I don't want to write like shit. So I the same thing goes for other aspects of my work. I don't want to hand off everything I'm doing to a system that is trained on someone else's opinion of what a good idea might be. I want to work back and determine from first principles for myself what is a good idea and execute on that.
Did you see the New York Times thing going around of the AI writing comparisons?
No, I didn't.
So the New York Times published a quiz of it was 5 prompts, and it was essentially like, it wasn't asking you to figure out which one was AI. It was asking you which you preferred. And it would give you one example that was written by AI and one example from like a relatively like famous or notable like piece of literature. But you would take it and like essentially it was like very pro AI writing. It was, it kept being like, oh, like, sure, you picked the human one, but actually, 60% of people actually preferred the AI writing or whatever. But like the AI writing samples, so I think I ended up preferring human over AI 4 of the 5 times. And the 5th, on one of them, I had picked the AI one. And so in its little like blurb, it was like, congratulations, you prefer human writing over AI. You probably, picked these. You were probably just lucky in picking them though, or whatever. And also, by the way, like they're not even that good. And also, Cormac McCarthy doesn't know how to use punctuation. Was like genuinely, because like one of the writing examples was a Cormac McCarthy piece, which I didn't recognize the specific piece, but I was like, well, that looks like the way Cormac McCarthy writes. And the AI writing sample looks like somebody trying to rip off Cormac McCarthy, but it's not saying anything. And so it was like a very weird like ending of the thing where it was kind of being like, okay, I guess you still like human writing, but like for now until you know, or whatever, like nice job, lucky guessing or whatever, which wasn't, again, not the point of the piece. Was presented as a like, you know, see how close AI writing is to humans now. The other issue with the piece, though, that makes me not surprised that people preferred quote unquote the AI writing was that it was the blurbs that were taken from actual books were so out of context that they were like essentially meaningless on the page, as opposed to the little like AI generated blurbs that were trying to match the tone of the like writing style of real examples, but somehow had a little more context, or at least were like obscured enough that it you could understand it better in this one little paragraph because it wasn't part of a larger piece of work. So I'm totally not surprised that people picked the AI. Like, it's flawed from the start because people are just picking the one that seems more complete in the little literally 2-sentence snippet that they're seeing right now.
Yeah, I would not at all be surprised. Yeah. I'm not a fan of AI writing. As soon as I know there are people who say they can't distinguish it. Maybe in certain contexts, I can't either. But in general, once you see like the way it uses adjectives, the way that it uses metaphors and similes, like you can just pick out, okay, this is someone describing an adjective they've never actually experienced.
Dude, the metaphors and similes are, like people get so hung up on the M dashes. No. The M dashes are great. Do not rope M dashes into AI writing.
I have dedicated M dash keys on most of my keyboards.
As you should, because the M dash is our greatest form of punctuation. It is everything and nothing at once.
All you need. Yeah.
All you need. You just write an entire thing with just M dashes. No other punctuation. That's the real Cormac McCarthy. That's the Cormac McCarthy of the 21st century. Stupid podcast. It's so early for me.
I'm sorry to be dragging your podcast down so far.
No. This is awesome. I don't even remember where I was going with this. No. It's the metaphors. It's the yeah, exactly. It's the focus on like it's not blank, it's blank or whatever, right? Like you see all of these little like ticks, for lack of a better phrase. Like they all have these little ticks in their writing that like grate on me.
It uses these like really consistent constructions that are from like low quality marketing copy. It's not blank, it's blank. The blah 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 blah. The semicolon conclusion. Like there's these like linguistic tricks that people would use in marketing copy to come across as profound, that for whatever reason it has been fully trained to execute on, and it uses them in contexts where nothing is profound. So it just cheapens the whole thing.
Yeah, it's funny. So when you left, it's funny that you left Android Police like 3 months before. Was it 3 months before ChatGPT 3 launched? That was at the end of 2022, I think, was when ChatGPT launched and 3 launched. And that was the real beginnings of like AI mainstream, like in the mainstream conversations, right? But regardless, I was still obviously talking to you at the time, and it was like there were lots of conversations both internally and then with you and I and Stephen Schenk and other people that we were all talking to about like the future of blogging and like everything is screwed. And that is probably still true. And we've seen traffic on the internet just like collapse because like, for lack of a better person to blame, like Google has decided that they don't like websites anymore and they're just going to rip off. I just saw that report. Was it Wired? There was just a report that like 60% of the citations in these AI things that Google has been like, no, we're still pushing people to websites, or like just links to other Google pages. Like they're all just like internally sourcing themselves so that the plagiarism, for lack of a better phrase, is like 4 layers deep at this point.
So the I don't want to name names because a big chunk of my job, of course, is media relations. I talk to you.
Yes.
95 Google. I talk to people at other sites, and we have to keep track of who's doing what, how well they're doing, who's worth our time to talk to, and who's not. Right? Because I have limited resources. I don't have a massive staff. So we keep track of how things are going, and this year things are not going well for just about anybody in tech publishing. There are a handful of sites that are sort of treading water and staying where they are, but some of the best sites, and I don't want to name names because I'll piss off everybody whose name I don't say, but some of the very best sites have seen really huge declines, and it's really unfortunate because I'm under no illusions. My job is way less important than your job. I left. I had reasons for leaving AP, as you know, but it's not because I didn't believe in journalism. It's exactly the opposite. What I'm doing matters significantly less, and so it's really depressing to see the direction of the state of media.
Well, but and at the same time, though, we've seen these drops and all of this, but I would say that like the AI revolution for this job and for many jobs never came. Like I really do not. I think we have. People can keep saying in the comments all they want that like, oh, you just have to wait another year or two. Just wait another year or two. The internet wasn't built in 3 years either. And it's like, okay, but one, that's comparing 1992 to 2026. And I think that's unfair.
And follow the logic further out. Even if you do believe that the future is coming the way it's coming, the way they want to do it is they want to have tech bros on digital plantations. That's the AI future.
Right. Right. It's like, what are we building? What, like, I don't want to build to that anyway, but like,
we're not going to be the ones who benefit because we're not the ones with the money to be able to build these little empires off of the cloud compute that's required in order to run these systems. It's never going to help us.
So AI boosters will have this argument, right? That it's like, well, like, look at where we were in like 2023. Right. And I'm not trying to deny that we haven't come a long way. Like look at like AI video generation now compared to 2020, compared to 3 years ago. It's night and day. I'm not trying to pretend that that technology has not come a long way. To what end is a different conversation, but it has come a long way. I don't think that's true of AI writing. I mean, we still like have sites caught all the time doing like publishing like, I mean, okay. So to use an actual example, there was just a website, was it videogamer.com, that was purchased by one of these like multifaceted, like multi-brand conglomerates, right? That scoops up websites. Videogamer.com was like filled essentially after this with betting articles that were all written by AI, but the staff that were there when they were acquired were still like writing the actual gaming coverage. The betting stuff was like ad money that was on its own thing until the Video Gamer staff is completely laid off and fully replaced by AI. Like videogamer.com becomes like a full AI website with fake profiles linked to fake social accounts, which is a whole other thing. Right? Like it's bullshit all the way down. And they got caught, right? They got caught not so much because readers were specifically still going there and noticed a change. Like I don't know what their homepage traffic was like. But they got caught because their Resident Evil Requiem review was fully written in AI and pushed to Metacritic, and it wasn't real because AI can't play a video game, and it was published at embargo. And so it was just like 2,000 words of like fluff, like, which is what a lot of AI writing becomes when you try to like push it beyond a paragraph or two. It's just a lot of like cotton candy. And it was the entire review was like the legacy of Resident Evil and the things that it knew from the trailers. But like, obviously it can't write about the experience of playing this video game. And so what happened again, like if you want to talk about like the revolution in writing, it's like, it never came and it's not going to, because people didn't react to this with like, oh man, another website, another job replaced by AI. Nice job, AI. That website was like, kicked off Metacritic. It was kicked off Google's own search listings, which is a crazy thing for Google to do. Like, if AI is the future of an industry like this, wouldn't that move be welcomed? Wouldn't that move be a success? And it's not, and it never can be, because these are experiences that a computer can't have.
I'm sure the maximalists will say it's only a matter of time until ChatGPT can talk its way through playing Katamari or something, but I don't think that's the case. We've already hit diminishing returns on how these systems work. I think at a fundamental architectural level, the way that transformer architecture works, the way that these recursive models work, they're never going to be able to get past this sort of asymptotic increase that has sort of reached a wall, and we're never going to see a massive performance gain like we used to before without some massive change in architecture or computational theory or a big step forward that no one's doing the original research for, because all people want to do is throw more RAM and more data centers at the problem because it's easy. It's easy to scale.
Exactly. That's been my frustration, is that it's like, okay, you're chasing like true AI. I just don't, like, even with my limited technical knowledge, like I can't see the track to get there through a large language model. I think a large language model is like interesting technology that can power a lot of things. I think we are using it to power way more than it should. Like that is like straight up where I land on LLMs, is I'm like, I think we are pushing this way beyond what it should be able to do. And I think you can see that in how often it fails at what it's trying to do.
Yeah. If we were focusing more specifically on using them as direct verbal interfaces for really defined UX like designs. If you were an app designer and you really wanted to, you could make an LLM that was just modeled on ensuring that you had voice access to its limited functionality. Right. I think in a circumstance like that, that's like perfect. The really limited sort of directly agentic model is probably going to be the future of easy access computing, and something we're going to see like proliferate. But I don't think it's going to be half or a quarter or 5% of the things that people claim that it's going to be.
Yeah. Okay, we've done. It's been an hour.
We went a little long,
all over the map. Anything else you want to just like? It's your. I will shut up because I've certainly talked too much this episode. I will let you say whatever you want to say, Ryne. It's just like your goodbye piece at Inward. Please just hit me with a bullet point list. What are your tech takes? You don't have to do this either, but I will give you this space.
Let me pull a couple off the top of my head. It's beyond time that people gave enough of a shit to force their legislators to create a national digital privacy law. I think that it's ridiculous and almost obscene that we have so many privacy nihilists that haven't done anything about it, that they haven't been calling their legislators, because with the proliferation of the automation AI tools, that is one of the few things we can look forward to, is with I can get political now because it's the end of the show. With Doge running off with all of our customer data, government data, we know that all of this stuff is going to be combined in the coming years and used against us in so many different ways that we can't anticipate. If we don't have a strong digital privacy shield, we are in for a really painful time. Anybody who's any reasonable human being who hasn't lived their life as a Boy Scout infant is capable of being targeted for some random and ridiculous thing. So we really need people to start reining in how our data is used in a serious way, with private right of action and real punishment behind it. We need to start throwing out real fines against companies that fail to protect customer data. We need to have standards for data portability.
Counterpoint to that, Ryne, what if I hand my ID over to Discord?
What if you hand your Jesus Christ, right? How irresponsible. They should be that hundreds of millions of dollars of fines. I cannot believe that they stuff like this is so depressing. Like, that's the stuff that really depresses me, is the fact that the long-term implications of this data are going to be bad. Like, we know that it can be used not just for fraud, but this stuff can be combined to if you're an immigrant, it can be combined to build a profile around you that lets ICE know exactly where you're going to be on, Friday morning, pick you up, take you out of the country. Even if you're just, somebody like me, who knows what nefarious shit they will think of to use and do with your data once they've decided that you don't meet whatever their requirements are for being an American. So I really hope that someday we collectively give enough of a shit about our data and each other.
Yeah. That is as good of a final argument, if that is your final argument, Ryne, that I could. I mean, like, why don't we care more about each other is, like, genuinely, I think, where every single, like, political belief I have comes from, is that, like, we are just generally better off. And, like, if you want to, like, we can have, I'm not talking to you, Ryne, but just in general, my stance is like, look, man, if we want to have different economic theories about, like, the right way to help people, that's one thing. But, like, if we can't agree that we are better off when we help each other, then like, I don't know how to have a conversation. And I do feel so often like I'm talking to people who are like, well, no, I don't want to help. I only want to help the people that I know personally, or maybe even not them. Like maybe just me.
How can you share a world with somebody who doesn't want to share it with you?
I don't know. There's a problem that lots of places, and certainly the U.S. has faced over the last decade and a half. I mean, like certainly, okay, long before that. But the age of the internet has certainly not helped bring these feelings to the forefront and amplify some of people's worst behaviors through, being anonymous online. But at the same time, you want that privacy. Yeah.
Everything we've discussed tonight is a contributing factor there. The death of media and moderating opinions, expertise, educated people talking about things they know about, algorithmic systems that are trying to push outrage in front of you because it keeps you engaged on a system that is designed to keep you trapped in an ecosystem that is built to make sure you never leave it. We have constructed the walls of our own cognitive prisons.
That is the perfect place to leave this, I think. I can't think of a better ending. Ryne, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, I think it was great having you. God, sorry, it's very late. It was great being here.
It's fine. You're good. Look, I have. Can I tell you? We've been recording. We started like 70 minutes ago, realistically, because we recorded like 10 minutes that I'm not going to use before this. I don't remember anything I've said over the last hour.
It's all right.
I'm so excited to edit this and be like, what was this take? I don't know. Where can people find you, Ryne?
If you search my name, I'll probably come up somewhere. But generally speaking, I've got a Mastodon that I don't use. I've got a Blue Sky that I don't use.
Everybody has a Mastodon they don't use.
I've got an X that I really don't use. I've got a Facebook that I don't use. I've got you can email me if you can find my email, I guess. I don't know.
Send Ryne a carrier pigeon if you enjoyed this episode. Let him know. Smoke signal
Weekends
in
only.
the sky.
Weekend delivery.
Yeah, well, no, you can't. We can't reach you on the weekend at all, though. You
can't reach me at all. I'm in China.
Well, that too. Ryne, thank you so much for being on again. That'll do it for this week's Sideload. Thank you again to Ryne Hager. You can find him at the various social channels he listed, although, as he said, he is increasingly offline these days, not to mention currently based in China. So, but thank you again to Ryne. I hope people enjoyed kind of getting to hear his perspective again in a way that really hasn't been done on the internet since 2022. I'm sure his iPhone discussions were a surprise to many listeners who have followed his work for a long time. As always, you can find, rate, and review us on the podcast platform of your choice. Subscribe to 9 to 5 Google on YouTube if you're watching there, or if you're not, just subscribe no matter what. It's a great channel. Damien and Jordan doing great work over there. Share the show with a friend if you enjoyed it. As always, I am reachable at will@9to5mac.com, or you can find me on the social media platform that you use. I am a little more active than Ryne. Next week, Rich Woods joins the show. He is the content director for XDA and Make Use Of and How To Geek. Frankly, I'm really just excited to sort of poke his brain on the MacBook Neo, which I was sort of hinting at in this episode, my thoughts on. Lots of desktop discussion coming, lots of Windows discussion, the idea of Google in this space. I'm going to elaborate on some of that stuff I've been thinking a lot about that I touched on in this episode in next week's. But until then, I hope everyone has a great week. Stay safe if you are in a stormy area, as I am today. And we will catch you in the next one. Bye.